Yo, this is a motherfucker who needs no introduction. You are watching Breaking Records Radio.
All right, so you are now tuned in to Breaking Records Radio. My name is Alex Kuchma, and I have here with me an original founding member of the Oaceys from his debut solo album. Yeah, from his debut solo album, Musical Meltdown in the mid-1990s, to multiple Outsiders projects, working with cats like Rod Digger and the Fugees, to appearing on the 8 Mile soundtrack, and doing full-length albums with underground giant Mr. Green. I'm talking, of course, about Young Z. Welcome to the show, man. What's good?
Good looking. What it look like?
Oh, man, I said this at the beginning of the call here, but I can't thank you enough for taking the time out to speak to me here today. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the talk.
Nah, good looking. You know what I mean? Anything to get my music out to any part of the world is a wonderful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We play a lot of Outsiders material on the show. I'm a big fan of Outsiders and a big fan of your career as a solo artist as well. So it's a blessing to be able to sit down and talk with you, and I hope to uncover some history here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about any kind of new music that you have on the way, but first I'd like to kind of start the conversation with some history. The first release, Musical Meltdown, so it had a bit of kind of drama surrounding it, and ultimately it took fans some time in order to get the recorded material on their shelves. Originally it was supposed to be placed on Perspective Records, which was kind of more of a soul and R&B imprint, with artists like Sounds of Blackness and Mint Condition being pretty dominant acts on the label. But what happened with this release? As there was a few singles released prior that appeared to go through with no real problems, but of course, Musical Meltdown ended up having complications.
Well, Perspective Records was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and you know they really R&B, you know, they R&B artists themselves, and they, you know, basically had the R&B world locked down. They just wanted to try something new at Perspective Records, and actually the A&R that signed me to Perspective Records worked at Flavor Unit for Queen Latifah, and I had a meeting with them, and they wanted to give me contracts right then and there, but the A&R, his name is Kobe Brown, he was like, no, I'm going to Perspective Records next week, and if you wait till next week, I'm going to sign you over there. So I waited and, you know, went up there. They gave me the contract the same day too. And so, like, it was a new label. They was trying, you know, new hip hop. They had Pudgy the Fat Bastard, Arrogant, you know what I mean? So they, you know, they was trying something new. So when they released Pudgy the Fat Bastard album first, it didn't do good. So I think that's what put a bad taste in their mouth. And you know, stuff started slowing down. So, you know, me, I'm not sticking around. If it's not what it's cracked up to be, then just let me go. You know what I mean? So that's how I ended up, you know, getting off that label before it ultimately just caved in.
Gotcha. I always kind of figured that it had something to do with some of the publicity that happened for the record. Like, I know the Source review was fairly controversial because if you look at the other reviews that were published on Musical Meltdown upon its release, overall you end up seeing praise. Like, I think notably is the Rap Pages review from Warren Coolidge, who praised the skits, the features. He praised your originality on the mic, which I think is important, and closes the review by claiming that you're kind of rap's best new artist. Yet if you end up looking at the Source, they kind of end up seeming hell-bent on comparing you to other Jersey rappers and failed to recognize your originality, essentially claiming that you were like biting styles from MCs like Redman. But if you listen to the album now, it kind of seems hard to identify with anything written here in the Source. How do you think that this ended up affecting the album? Do you think it affected the album at all? And do you think it had anything to do with the shelving of it, or were you completely out of the picture on Perspective before that came out?
I don't actually remember what time frame that came out. I just remember, I think we was doing a video for Problems, and Pace and Digga came up to me. They was basically in tears, and then they showed me this magazine and our rating, and like, I wasn't into, you know, magazines and worrying about what other people say, but it really affected Pace and Digga. But it didn't affect me. Like, I always thought that I was, you know, a fresh MC because I tried hard. You know what I mean? It's about rhyming. It's about having exciting lyrics, up to date, current events. Like, it's one verse has to be like really all of that to me. So I knew where I was headed. I didn't really care about the rating that I got in the Source magazine. I don't think that affected the outcome of Perspective Records, because they was really big on me. But they had just poured so much money into Pudgy and it didn't go good. So I think that was the whole reason that Perspective Records rap department shut down.
Right now she on an elevator. I'm not trying to waste your time or give you all of mine. I just wanna